What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. Joining us here in the basement, we got John and Drake for us tonight. It's Thursday evening. We're just going to kind of hang around, talk about some of the teams that we haven't discussed over the last few weekends. We'll get into any questions you guys got in the chat room. And we're just going to be living loose tonight. Drake, what's going on, my man? How we doing?
Doing well, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. And John, what is cooking up in that basement?
Just excited that Chris and Giannis are back for the Bucks. So just living the dream right now.
And we, so it's, as we're recording this, it's January 26th. I think we have another 2 or 3 weeks up until the NBA All-Star Week. So we're kind of at the point where we kind of know like who's what. The good teams are the good teams. And we have a couple teams that we're excited about, maybe closer towards trade deadline. But Drake mentioned pre-show about these young Oklahoma City Thunder kids. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're averaging 116.9 points per game, which is pretty high. They're not great defensively, but there's some fun prospects brewing on this team. So I thought maybe we would lead it off here with OKC Thunder. Let's pull up their fantasy roster. And have either of you guys caught an OKC game on live TV anytime lately?
I haven't.
Drake's about to watch him in a couple days, but
I'll be watching tomorrow.
Yeah, I've seen them play a couple times with and without Shea, and they have a lot of interesting pieces. And you never know who's really going to be in the rotation. I mean, they have a couple guys who are pretty constant. I've been really impressed with Jalen Williams. You got to flip a coin on this team because there's two of them, but the one that gets a lot of minutes and plays relatively regularly, he's been pretty fantastic. And had a couple, he's a little boomer bust sometimes, but I think he's a rookie. So
yeah, not a lot of busts.
For a rookie, his output is pretty impressive.
This was a 14th round draft pick in our fantasy league too. So this is as consistent as they come for a rookie. Like, this is fantastic.
Did you play for Duke, John? Is this the Jalen Williams from Duke?
I don't remember. He very well might be.
Santa Clara Broncos? Pick number 2.
Okay.
Oh, so there you go. Broncos representing here. But either way, so they do.
To be fair, they do have two Jalen Williamses, so one of them is probably from Duke.
All right, let's get this out of the way. Let's figure it out.
I think it's the center.
Jalen. Mr. Jalen he's from Arkansas Razorbacks. So
yeah, I don't know anything.
No Duke. Maybe there's another Jalen Williams out there that we're not. Jason Williams back in the day.
Yeah, Charlotte. Right? Is there a guy on Charlotte? Who cares?
But for fantasy, this team, I mean, you got SGA putting up 55 points per game over the last 7 days. You have Josh Giddey, who Giddey's a second-year player now, right?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, he's a really fun, exciting player. He's going to flirt with a triple-double almost every other night. And he's very consistent. It's good to see him taking another step and potentially being a nice rock for them for the next few years. It looks like, again, Jalen Williams can be a guy that they can build around. But after that, there's really no one in fantasy that I think is reliable on their teams. Kenrick Williams, I think he's a guy that you can maybe add for a night or two on a back-to-back. What's going on with Lou Dort? Because a lot of people were excited about him last year. Looks like he's playing well. I thought he missed some time earlier in the year.
He did, yeah.
Hamstring. But it looks like he's settling back into kind of their third or fourth scoring option. Some nights it looks like he'll put up some 20. So he's still a player. 26.8% owned seems a little low. So if you're playing in a 10-man league, go check out Lou Dort. And then either of you guys know anything about Isaiah Joe?
No. 2 first names.
Yeah, so when I do my waiver wire show, I usually do that on Sunday night or Monday night. This is a guy that's been kind of tripping the sensors lately. So he's got a mid to high teens for a floor, but when he gets when he gets over 20 minutes, he's going to be a guy that can be useful in 12-man leagues. And you can see over his last 7 days compared to his season stats, the minutes are up almost 7 minutes per game, points are up almost 5 per game, rebounds, assists are down and whatever, but more usage for the young backup shooting guard. So someone to keep an eye on, Isaiah Joe. Any other names to keep an eye on here? Or I guess you guys want to talk a little bit about, I mean, if we're playing NBA 2K, what do you do as OKC owner? What do you see this team going to do in the future?
Can you keep going down the list? I'm just curious if there's any more relevance here.
Yeah, Wiggins here. Wiggins, very inconsistent with his minutes. He's missed a couple games here. On the season, though, he was averaging 18 minutes. Now it's down to about 15. Looks like SGA had the illness, so that's when he kind of piped in there. So he's kind of their 6th, 7th man most nights. Ousmane Dieng, I don't know how to say his first name. Don't know if it matters. Recalled from the G League. And then, I mean, Muscala's still banging around here. There's the Jalen Williams from Arkansas. And then what happened to Darius Bazley?
That's what I'm wondering. Bazley was such a good piece.
I mean, he was a guy at the end of last year that I think we all were picking up for like a game or two. And he was putting up a lot of points. You can see he goes in like kind of block sprees, and he's a good rebounder, good interior guy. But it looks like he is kind of on the back burner this year. Do they have anybody injured that they're missing?
Well, they're missing Alexei up there. I can't remember.
Oh, yep.
Poku.
And they're also missing Chet Holmgren. Like, this team is set.
Right. So Poku.
He hasn't played in a long time.
Yeah.
He's down for a year.
Tibial plateau fracture in his left leg. This is on right before New Year's. Going to be really reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks. So, I mean, we're out until after NBA All-Star Weekend, so not till March. But it's just surprising. Like, who is their big man? Who are they using?
They just aren't.
I guess it's sometimes they aren't. They're running a really short lineup then, huh?
Yeah.
I want to look. I want to pull up. So they just played Atlanta the other night. It looks like SGA put up 36. I just want to see some of the box scores and the minutes and things like that.
They're not getting blown out in games.
I mean, they're there. 2 games under 500. So, like, they didn't even win 20 games last year, if I recall. So, this is a step in the right direction, and it's impressive without.
They're out of the tank.
So here you go. I mean, they're starting your Jalen Williams and your Kenrick Williams at the 4 and 5 spot. So this is a run and gun team, and they're going to want to put up shots.
But this is similar, not the similar lineup, but similar to what the Cavs were at last year.
Okay.
Young kind of had some stuff going, kind of had some stuff going wrong, and now they got the pieces, and guys coming back from injury next year.
You insert Holmgren and then another potential –
right? I mean, Holmgren and Poku.
So they're on the fringe right now if they can somehow get it closer to the top 5 pick, but they're playing well enough right now where they're on the fringe of a top 10 pick. And again, we mentioned 7 and 3.
Well, scroll down a little bit though, because they have other picks in that draft, I assume.
So they're here at 10, and then I don't see any other in the first.
Well, they have a bunch of picks coming up, so
go to the second round though.
Here is
probably own it.
So they have the 37th overall pick.
Okay, they took this year off. Next year,
I think starting next year, then they have picks on picks for a couple years.
Some of the Paul George.
The Paul George picks are a little delayed. I remember that.
And then they've moved Adams and all those guys. I think they were all delayed. Like Presti set this up beautifully. Hats off to him.
Yeah, and they're all right, and they're doing just fine this year.
And they're playing well.
Yeah, they're not going
to without 2 main future pieces, right?
So is it safe to say
who
that,
else?
like they're no longer a rebuilding team? Like they have a foundation kind of clearly forming. I mean, SGA, Giddey, Dort can be your third scorer. They really just need to get that interior figured out and get another.
Which it's on the IR right now.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. Exciting things about the Thunder, but for fantasy, I mean, again, it's really only SGA, Giddey, and then I guess if you want to play, on a night-to-night basis, whether it's one of the Williamses here, Dort, whenever he gets back. Keep an eye on that Isaiah Joe too, because he's played well in relief of other players. But
Oklahoma, got to shout out Jeremiah Robinson Earl. He was playing center for them for a significant period of time this year, and I was playing him. I had him in fantasy for a little bit.
He was a guy last year that I think a lot of people were picking up in deeper leagues. So this is a report from. It sounds like he's getting close to returning.
I mean, for a team with no center, he's just someone to keep an eye on.
All right, well, we'll slap that interested there.
I mean, what do you do with Poku right now?
Again,
I thought he was out for the year.
Yeah, he's not back.
He comes back at the end of the year. I mean, it's not going to matter.
There's nothing to do with him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
He probably doesn't play, right?
Probably. Poku was their start. Was one of their starters when he was out.
He was
Holmgren.
Yeah.
Yeah, next year. Yeah, Chet takes his spot next year.
No, I'm saying they're both the same player. I mean, they could probably play together.
Yeah.
I mean, Poku's impressive when he plays.
Yep, good shooter.
Sure.
I think, is this a team that has anything to do with the trade deadline? Or are they kind of just content with what they got? They don't want to muddy the water.
I could see them maybe selling some of these other, like Mike Muscala gets moved at every trade deadline.
Or they're one of those teams that, they take a guy that is getting paid too much elsewhere and they just want to kind of offload it and get something. I could see them moving money or something.
I mean, their most valuable player that they would realistically move is Dort.
Yeah.
And he's part of the future. I mean, he's what, 24? They just
something like that. Yeah, he's a third-year player.
Yeah. So I don't. Is there a whole lot of movement if this was NBA 2K?
Yeah.
Like outside of Dort, all these guys are gone for me. I got picks.
But yeah, otherwise,
I mean, Presti is known to wheel and deal better than just about anyone. So I'm not really.
I could see Baisley and
SGA is unavailable, untouchable. Outside of that, I don't know what Presti's vision is. Like, does he?
You're not moving Giddey.
Do guys like Giddey and Williams, Jalen Williams, the good one, and some of these other guys like Poku, even maybe, are these guys that you want for the future, or is someone like Giddey, like when you have a point guard, a ball dominant guy like SGA, like could you move a guy like Giddey and get incredible return on investment? And maybe like set yourself up even better for the future. I don't know. I would assume you want to keep a lot of these young pieces, but Presti it's hard to know what's going on in his mind.
He doesn't move young players though, does he? It's usually
not. I don't know.
I mean, a guy like Giddey, I would think is untouchable at this point. It'd be very hard to offer a trade for Giddey.
Unless it'd be hard to get good value for Giddey, for sure.
I'm just looking at their recent wins here. They lost to Atlanta, a tough game. That's a good fight. They snuck out a win against Denver, which is impressive, and put up a good fight against Sacramento. But then they went on a little Eastern Conference run. A 3 straight road game streak here is nice. So,
and lost by 1 to the Heat.
1 point loss. Yeah, 1 point loss.
And some nice wins here too. The Orlando one's weird, but I don't know what happened in that Boston game.
They embarrassed Boston that game.
Wasn't playing, but
Orlando has been playing better.
I think Boston's guys actually played too in that game, Kyle.
I think we haven't talked about Orlando, have we yet? The last few weeks.
We should talk about them.
Yeah, because that's a team that we were talking about Jalen Suggs in our other group chat, and he's kind of just lost in the mix there as kind of their number 3 or 4 guard. And now it's looking like they play a lot of players, but they have too many guys. This is a team that I think we're going to probably expect to see make some moves at the trade deadline. Hopefully, we'll see. But otherwise, over the last 15 days, they have 5 guys averaging more than 24.9 fantasy points per game. They don't really have like a stud. I think Banchero, of course, but for fantasy right now, these guys are all useful pieces. Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, Banchero, Fultz, and Cole Anthony. But after that, I mean, Jonathan Isaac's back. So happy to see that. But you can see they use a lot of guys here. Like we're going down all the way down here to Jalen Suggs only getting 15 minutes per game. Mo Bamba getting no minutes. It's too deep of a lineup, I think, right now. What do you guys think?
John, why don't you take the lead on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it pretty well, Kyle. There are a lot of pieces here. You would think they would be, sellers, or like they have a lot of nice contracts with some of these, younger, cheaper guys. They could, kind of like the Thunder, they could help facilitate all sorts of crazy trades if they want to get some sort of, picks back, or like Kyle, you mentioned, take on an expense, maybe like swap like a couple of your cheaper guys, consolidate them into one kind of expensive guy that someone's trying to offload, and then take some picks back or something. I feel like the Magic have a lot of flexibility because, like you say, they have a lot of guys, but I don't think any of them besides Terrence Ross is making significant money. Maybe Wendell Carter is making a little bit of money.
Isaac's making a pretty good contract.
I think Isaac's on a rookie deal still.
No.
But no, I guess not. No, he's
Are they paying Suggs decently? Did he get a good?
Well, he's on his nice rookie deal.
For sure, yeah.
So
He's still pretty young. So so you have a couple guys who are a little expensive, but outside of that, I think it's a really easy, kind of like with Thunder. I feel like there are all sorts of different possibilities here. The Magic don't necessarily have the GM that I know and trust like Presti, but
they got
I
your old
expect
GM,
Thunder
man.
and the Magic to be involved in the trade deadline, and I couldn't tell you how.
So, well,
What do you got against Hammond?
I have nothing against Hammond.
That's your boy.
He is my boy. I love him.
Drafted Giannis,
I love him
right?
I love him more than 99.9% of people. But I also, would never compare him to Sam Presti, or else I think you just get like smitten by God because, for that kind of blasphemy.
I think one of the crazier things, and it's not unexpected, is that Cole Anthony is such a better pro than Jalen Suggs is.
Yeah.
And he's found his niche. And Fultz, he fits the mold pretty well here. They got him for free.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and then you have RJ Hampton.
Yeah.
RJ Hampton was good pro.
And he's a DNP coach's decision right
Yeah, so it's just a weird roster. Look how many centers. And
Yeah, I was going to say Wagner, Bamba, and Bull. One of those guys needs to go.
Yeah, like Bamba and either
Bamba.
Anthony or Suggs. Gary Harris needs to go. Quit playing Gary Harris.
Gary Harris is a good – if someone – he's going to be a
great pro.
Like a fringe team that's like a 4, 5, 6 seed. Get a depth piece. Go get Gary
If the
Harris.
Cavs went out and got Gary Harris, I'd be very happy.
Right, yeah.
As a Bucks fan, you guys would be happy too.
Yeah, he's just a veteran piece that can help you make a playoff run. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. You move Gary Harris somewhere. I want to see Mo Bamba get some opportunity to be a 20 to 25-minute guy somewhere. He's good.
He's efficient.
There's so many teams missing centers.
Right. You put Bamba. I don't know what's going on with the Warriors. They need some center help, but I don't know if Bamba could help them over there.
Certainly, the Warriors have anything to offer. Maybe I don't know.
Cash. I don't know. We'll see. But an interesting team here. I want to go back to that. Let me see. Pull up the Tankathon website. Let's look at that. NBA.
Orlando is like if you were starting a 2K team, you could just flip that thing and keep one or two guys and be very happy.
How do we? What's our assessment of Banchero year one?
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, he's up and down, but he performs. I mean,
he's got a lot of offensive skill set, and
he's right there with
strong.
Jabari Smith for me.
Okay,
like I think they're having similar rookie. I think to John's point, he has more offensive game.
Yeah,
but they're feeling it out. I mean, it's a tough position to join.
They got the two of the top.
Unless you're like Zion and you just can't be blocked.
But Orlando's got the 8th pick at the moment right now with Chicago's pick, and then the
5th
and their own pick. So this could be a fun, very important draft for them coming up. Where maybe after this draft, they're not a lottery team anymore.
I think they make the flip.
They could make a flip, and maybe
I do too.
Maybe not even a flip, but kind of like what Oklahoma City's doing this year. They're almost a 500 level team, and then they can grow. So maybe they get one more kind of pick in the low teens, and then they're good to go.
I'd rather be the Magic than the Wizards.
Sure.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Magic and the Thunder each win 10 or 15 more games next year than what they do this year. I mean, they're both primed in so many ways across their roster to make a big jump.
The Wizards need to move Bradley Beal, man.
Do you guys think, since you're talking about Beal, which one of these teams could pull like what the Wizards have done in the past or other teams and take on that big veteran contract for next year? Look, like the Wizards took on Porzingis. That wasn't to win now. Out of those two teams, who could you see doing that?
Excuse me, out of Orlando and Oklahoma?
Yeah. Could you see either of them doing it? Taking on like a contract that they can afford, but it's a next year play?
Yeah, I think it makes sense for both of them, honestly.
The Kings last year. That trade for Sabonis wasn't for that year.
I think both players could use a dynamic.
What about a team like Utah?
Utah's going to be moving. Danny Ainge he's found his groove again. That man.
Yeah, I think Danny's building a champion for the future, and I don't necessarily know if Beal fits his plan.
No, they're not going to take big guys. They're going to move. They're building around Markkanen right now.
Nothing really sticks out for Bradley Beal here. Beal's a win now player, so.
Well, yeah, go to a win now team.
But like, who
could afford to do it? That's a tough question. What about if you're
in Miami?
Miami could figure it out. It includes Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero.
Miami could be fun. That Bradley Beal in Miami. Ooh.
Bradley Beal with those dudes.
I'm liking that. That one seems to be one that makes the most logical sense off the top of the head here.
If you're Philadelphia, could you do Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey for Beal?
Yeah. But then you're putting Beal with James Harden.
Yeah.
James Harden's a point guard, so it works out fine.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure it's the right move.
Brooklyn?
It's just if you're a team that wants to get a little more firepower and has an asset like Maxey who plays the same position as Beal, essentially point guard, shooting guard / point guard.
How about Denver? Denver moves Michael Porter Jr. And
I was thinking Michael Porter. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, that could work. That one's feasible. I don't have any draft picks, but.
At that point, picks are getting sold until 2033.
Right. But anyways, that's probably enough Orlando Magic talk, huh?
What about Brooklyn?
Brooklyn
move Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal.
That's an interesting case because what has been the grade on Ben Simmons so far?
F, D, maybe to be kind.
I mean, I can't give him that.
Well. He should be
excellent when he plays.
But this is without Durant. These numbers should be better.
Well, that's what you're going to get. I don't know.
I'll give
7 turnovers.
D+.
D+. Great rookie year.
But at one point...
is he in the right situation right now?
He's declined every year of his career, it feels like.
Yeah.
What is the right situation? Does he need to be put with a
I think he needs to be on a Shat team.
Okay.
I think he needs to just be given free reign.
Box score hero. Like a Markel. Yeah, I agree. I think I think that would be the best fantasy situation
he
for him.
Needs no pressure.
The best reality situation could potentially be the team he's already on, where he can defer to Kyrie and KD when they're healthy,
but he can't take the pressure.
No.
So where are we sending him? Are we sending him to the?
And if you're the Wizards, even if you're trying to get rid of Beal, I don't know if anyone wants Simmons. I don't think he's I think he's one of the least attractive contracts in the league right now because you don't really know what the hell you're getting, and when you do get him, he's afraid to score.
I feel like the Jazz could snag Beal.
That's a fringe team that could
for next year. I know John said no. It seems like it might.
If they keep
T-Wolves doing, click on them.
I don't think we've talked about them in the past few shows, so this might be a good. And we're expecting Karl-Anthony Towns back soon, hopefully. But anyways, Anthony Edwards, of course, 44 points per game for fantasy. Kyle Anderson's been kind of the renaissance man here, really balling out. He had a bad game here, but otherwise you see a 30, a 20, a 49, a 51, a 48, 27. And this is a guy that I think a lot of people picked up for free. Yeah, he was a free agent, wasn't even drafted in most leagues. But he's definitely been benefiting from minutes and just being on the floor a ton. So he's been a fantastic pickup this year. D'Angelo Russell, point guard number 14 here. I don't know. Is this the guy that's is he tied to Minnesota for the next few years, or is
he's his contract's up this year. I think he gets moved.
So free agency next year.
Yeah,
and so this is a prime trade candidate then. If they're not going to get anything for him, like what's an ideal landing spot for a guy like D'Angelo Russell?
I don't have a lot of positives to say about Russell. I mean, when I watch him play, I'm like, he's okay. He seems to put up better stats than what I see.
He just
I don't
seems
know
like
if
a guy
John
who's
has any
never
more to
going to
say
be.
about Russell. I even own him on my team, and I'm not all that pleased. So
He's never going to be the guy. He's going to be a nice compliment to the guy, wherever that guy is.
he's
But
Evan Turner.
okay,
I mean, he's a more skilled, like with the ball, Evan Turner.
what do we got to say on D'Angelo Russell, John?
Yeah, I think he's, he's relatively consistent and he plays a lot of games, but he's a number three. In an ideal situation, he's your 3 or 4. Like he's your 3 or 4 best player on the team. So third or fourth. So, I don't know. I think if he is an expiring contract like Drake says, I think look for him to potentially be moved this year, especially with kind of how crazy things have gotten in Minnesota. Minnesota is absolutely in win now mode because they gave up all their first round picks for Rudy Gobert. So, if they could trade D'Angelo Russell and get something they think might help them next year, and theoretically thinking maybe our team will be healthy next year, like I think they would probably go for it.
Okay.
Gobert's gotten a lot of shit this year. Gobert wasn't gonna work unless KAT was there.
Yeah, that was the idea.
I thought
right?
those two were the perfect complements to each other. KT shoots the best 3-point percentage from a center. Like, dude's a baller, but I mean, Gobert doesn't play sometimes in the last 4 minutes.
Right.
Games. Like, it's
Hmm.
you need KAT. No timetable. He's a calf.
Yeah. So that sounds not great.
This is why Jimmy left this team.
Well, yeah. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna have a really bad record this year, and their pick is unprotected to Utah. So
one of the most underrated players is Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you look at his efficiency ratings, it's insane. Might not
And,
be.
Naz Reid is pretty spectacular when he plays. Yeah. Like he's one of those point per minute guys who's.
Jaden McDaniels has the best inside field goal percentage in the league right now.
Really?
I just don't think he shoots a lot.
Consistency is the hard point, but
it is. It's not. Maybe he's a better basketball player than he is fantasy. But
probably he's
like some of those fantasy numbers.
Yeah, he's a 4 to 5 category guy. It's just those dip nights are when he's going to score 5 or 9 points.
Yeah.
He's playing every game. So.
Yeah, for the most part. He's a good player to keep an eye on. What's going on with Taurean Prince? Has he been anything lately? He's been getting minutes. That's the only thing that he tripped my sensors the other day on my waiver wire show. This is kind of like a guy that you could pick up, for a night or two if you need someone or see someone's missing time. Jalen Noel has been a guy that I think earlier in the season was getting more run, not so much of late.
You know what a fun Taurean Prince story is?
Is
that he was part of a trade from the Cavs to the T-Wolves to another team that helped land Donovan Mitchell the next year.
Interesting. Is it a 3D chess move, huh?
I don't think Colby gets enough credit. That dude's post LeBron the first time the Cavs were bad. We were relying on a guy that doesn't think the earth is round. So
what do you think's changed over there in Cleveland?
I think they took a different approach. Before they kind of let all the veterans walk and stuff, they kept Love. They showed the loyalty to him, and they've drafted really well, and they make excellent trades. They got Jarrett Allen for free. We've talked about that. Levert for free. Rubio was a free agent. No, Rubio was part of the Taurean Prince trade, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he came from Minnesota. Yep.
Yeah, and they ended up with Donovan Mitchell somehow. So I think they've done an excellent job drafting. John can attest. I've been a huge critic of this team as well as a fan. So,
so I guess the next question is what puts this team over the top then, besides obvious growth in a Mobley and Mitchell and Garland and things like that? What's the next step for Cleveland to get better?
They need that Levert spot. They need that 4 or the 3. The 3 or the 4. I mean, they have guys that can. Yeah, I mean, Mobley will play the 4 and Allen together. Mobley's numbers with Allen are excellent, but he does not play a good defense without Allen.
I did notice
that KAT and Rudy's situation.
I noticed Okoro starting to put up some decent numbers.
Yeah,
When I think it was
he
when
just
Mitchell
can't
was
score the basketball.
Yeah, he had a couple nice games when Mitchell was missing time, but this looks like keep in mind like his points are whatever 9 points, 9, 4, but the
He does all the other things.
fantasy numbers are starting to trickle up. And like if I remove the name from this resume and you see 23, 25, 14, 26, 22, 20 and 22 in a 12-man league, like this is a guy that's probably on our end of our bench.
Absolutely.
So and then the minutes continue to remain strong here too. So I think maybe it's a little resurgence from Okoro, who I think a lot of people were high on a year or two ago. Maybe he's starting to kind of find his role with the team.
Yeah, he's got more of a defined role, but I mean, when he was drafted, it was, can he develop an offensive game? We know he does all this other stuff really well, and he continues to do that. So I don't know if he's ever a starter.
He's a good.
The way this team plays, they need another scoring piece.
Yeah,
which is weird to say with Garland and Mitchell, but
well, over the last 7 days, you're seeing Mitchell, Garland, and Mobley all average over 20 points, which is
Mobley is doing that because Allen's back.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So
Frees
he's
him up.
got that big 38-point game in there, so that might skew things a little bit. Otherwise, no other games above 20 in the last Rolodex here that we're looking at. Cleveland's not going to be involved in the trade deadline, are they? What do you think?
I think they grab a piece or two.
Okay.
They'll make some moves.
Like a Gary Harris level trade where it's a guy that is just a piece, a 7th, 8th man veteran for the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, my ideal goal for this team is get to the second round.
Yeah.
Which I think they can do.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable. John, did you have anything to add on the Cavs?
I totally echo what Drake's saying about, if they could upgrade that fifth roster, that fifth starter, the wing, their small forward, I think that would be huge for them. And I think that's true for a lot of teams, but that would really, really help them out. And if they could do that and still keep LeVert, who is probably the best choice for that position right now, and keep Okoro, I don't know if it's even remotely possible, but if they could do that and keep those guys, I think that would make them absolutely deadly come playoff time. But hard to, upgrade a position and not give anything up. So I'm not sure how it works, but if they can figure that out, if Colby is as good as Drake says, I think they could probably pull something out of their hat. And, this team, like a lot of teams is at the top of the East or the kind of the top half of the East, they're a lot of jockeying for position right now. A lot of, the trade deadline is going to make one of these teams and it's going to break a couple of these teams. So, I think every one of these teams needs to be aggressive at the deadline and trying to grab pieces like Drake says. So Cleveland, I expect them to do that as well.
And then I just want to close out.
Sorry, Kyle. I was just going to say about the trades. Chetty and Dean Wade. Dean Wade has actually been kind of a missing piece since he's been injured. He was out 8 weeks. But now he's kind of finding a hard time to get a rotation spot.
Yeah, he might be on the way. Well, or they move someone to get him back into the rotation, like it yesterday. So definitely a name to keep an eye on. Position 69, very nice. But I just wanted to, before we're done with the Cavs, I think we got to take a second to appreciate Darius Garland, guys. Fantastic player. Where was he drafted by the Cavs again?
6th overall, 5th overall,
6th overall. I mean,
5th or 6th.
For them, when they drafted him and they had him and Sexton, and it was kind of that 2-guard look, and Garland pretty much said we can get rid of Sexton at that point. He's just continued to play very well. You also mentioned it's his birthday today, so no Mitchell tonight. We're expecting Garland to have a good game, right? But just fantastic player. Where was he drafted in fantasy this year? 2nd round, 23rd overall. Like, where is he being drafted next year? Probably in the same mid second round, late 2nd round kind of thing like that.
Yeah,
sure.
You'll have a Cavs fan in the back, grab a Mitchell and Garland.
Yeah, but I just wanted to, because everyone talks about Mitchell. I just wanted to make sure we give appreciation to Darius Garland, and he's not in the All-Star conversation, is he this year?
He is.
Did he?
I think he'll be a reserve.
Okay.
Mitchell was announced a starter.
Yeah. Okay.
But Garland, the only good thing Beeline did for her, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that whole.
He drafted it. Like,
Yeah.
Garland was his guy. He was
Yeah.
like, I watched this guy shoot, and I
Yep.
fell in love.
Damn, I totally forgot about Beeline. And
Yeah.
man, what was
I think
that?
we're still paying him something to do something. I think he
What
fell
was that locker room scandal? Oh my goodness.
thugs.
We'll keep
Playing
that.
like a bunch of thugs.
Yeah. Oh no. Dogs, Cavs.
I think I came up with one guy we do need to call out because I just turned on the Cavs Rockets game. Maybe switch over to the Rockets quick. There's a player that I think deserves a little love that we probably haven't talked a whole lot about.
I finally
Give him all the love.
I finally caught some Rockets action last night because they were playing my Wizards. But
There he is at the top there, Mr.
So good.
Shangoon, who is on a very special tear, and he's a year 2 guy, right, Drake?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's on an incredible streak right now, and
He played professionally in Turkey. Like, coming out, he was one of my favorite players.
these are Jokic numbers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which is terrifying.
But he's like half the way to Jokic.
That's the thing. When I watched him last night, I was like, this guy, he's got a weird body shape yet. He needs to continue to keep putting on some.
He's shifty.
Workouts.
I haven't watched him this year. Maybe you guys can talk. John, keep going. Have you watched him play this year?
I've watched him play a little bit, and he's very, very special. I mean, he does have some of those Jokic qualities, as you can tell by the stat line. And yeah, he's interesting. He's been a DFS hero. He's been a fantasy hero the past couple weeks, and I think if you have like owners in your league who aren't paying attention, this could be a guy to try to target in a trade right now because I think Houston is, their offense is kind of running through him right now, and I don't see a reason why they're going to stop that this year. So he's a perfect tank commander too, because he's a classic good stats, bad team guy. So it's kind of a match made in heaven for what Houston's trying to do this year, and he puts up amazing numbers.
So last night I turned on the Wizards Rockets game at about halftime. Watched the whole second half, and Houston's fun, man. Like they're not a good team, but that's just because they're so raw and they're so young. But when their moments of momentum are positive, you can see glimpses of like, okay, this team it's got some playmakers and some things. But when the Wizards went on a run, it was Sengun who kind of rallied calmed the team down, and he was the guy that the offense ran through, and also the defense kind of runs through him too. So he's able to make his presence known on both sides of the floor, and he was the reason why Kuzma was hitting threes in between third and fourth quarter right at the fringe there, and Sengun was the guy that brought this team back, not Jalen Green, not anybody else on that team, because they're kind of run and gun, but Sengun, he set the tone, and it was I noticed it, and it was like he is the guy that can potentially. You could build your franchise around this guy, and he just he was the guy that when they needed a play, it was him making the play. And when you surround him with a Jalen Green, I like Kenyon Martin. That Tari Eason, I thought he looked pretty good last night. There's a few fun pieces. I don't know what's going on with KPJ.
KPJ is part of that dynasty, though. I think this team's going to be really good here soon.
So it says reevaluated in 1 week. So
Sengun, KPG, Jabari Smith Jr.
And then I was impressed with this Tari Eason. I wanted to watch him because he popped up on all the waiver wires the last couple of weeks, and he's a guy that's going to continue to get a lot of minutes. He's more of a hustle player. When his shot is hitting, that's when you're going to have the big nights. But otherwise, he's going to. So this was a bad shooting night for him, 5 points, but still a couple other fantasy points here. But yeah, Sengun, man. What probably a 4th round pick in drafts, a 5th round pick in drafts this year. This is probably a end of the first rounder next year for those savvier.
Mm-hmm. You know how many times I've looked at where he was picked? Because last year I took him one of the last rounds.
Sure.
And I held, and he just started performing, like, not this good, but that was a great 5th round pick. And
yeah, he's just he just seems like he can be on that Jokic Giannis tier as long as they keep him surrounded with good players that he can keep throwing the ball and assisting to and rebounding and things like that. But yeah, second year player, and he's putting up a couple 61s, a 70, triple doubles. Special player. Could be a lot of fun. Anything else on the Rockets, John?
Why is Garrison Matthews on a team?
Dude, okay. About early part of the fourth quarter, Kuzma goes on a little run of some threes. And for some reason, Garrison Matthews just decides, I'm going to shoot like 4 straight shots. And the team keeps giving him the ball, and he just keeps firing them up. So I'm like, what, Mr. Garrison? No. It was just, oh my God. Yeah. Not good. Anyways, Drake or John, any final thoughts on Houston?
Jabari Smith Jr. is very good, and that's enough for me.
And I just, if you're new to
Washington's an interesting piece, actually. I really liked him coming out this year.
This guy right here, Washington, Ty.
Come out of Kentucky, the dude has speed and handles that are insane.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on him. But I'm trying to think anything else with the Houston Rockets or otherwise. We're going on about, it's almost 7:30. We got maybe another 10 minutes left of the show. Any teams you guys want to call a shout out, and we'll pull them up here? Anything going through your minds that you guys want to make sure we get talked
What's going on in Phoenix with all the injuries? Like, who do you play in Phoenix?
I think they're getting back here because they got Paul back. Here, so the last 7 days, Ayton's their top scorer, Chris Paul, Bridges, Josh Okogie had a monster. He had a career game a week or so ago. But Cam Johnson is back, and he's scoring. Biyombo's had some nights because Ayton's been out. So it looks like we're just missing Booker and Cameron Payne.
Saric is on every waiver wire.
And what's going on here? Oh, a couple 20. Ooh,
he's coming back healthy, and he's playing more.
All right, as long as he can maintain those 20+ minutes, we'll just put him on there for now. But Cam Johnson, guys,
he's been great.
He's good,
and he's going to be on a minutes restriction. He's going to miss either the front or the back end of a back-to-back. But the first game back, he puts up 19 points, shot great. The other night, shot great, 24 points. And this was his bad game. He missed some shots, but he still put up 6 boards and assists for 16 points. And he's been, if you look at the plus-minus situation in your player pool, he's been one of the hottest ads. But, I don't know. Otherwise, we're just waiting on Booker and campaign.
Crowder's going to get moved. Shamet coming back is huge. Chris Paul isn't what he used to be, but doesn't have to be. I think this team makes a nice fantasy resurgence.
Oh, look, Paul's been
second half.
Paul comes out firing here from the hip.
Yeah, definitely a fantasy asset. He's getting those assists. He's just not I'm going to take over this game.
I don't know. Former Georgia Tech, Josh Okogie, dude puts up a 24, 10, 4 blocks. Like, it was just a random game here. So he's going to probably triple out of the sensors if you're looking for waiver wire guys. But when he's been called upon, you look at when he has minute spikes, useful for fantasy. So just something to file away in your brain if you ever see that Okogie's getting the start for the night. But yeah, and I did notice too, because we were kind of like, maybe like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the show and we're talking like, when's Phoenix going to get going? And it's all about their health, but they're just sitting right there at the top of the play-in tourney, basically tied with the Mavs, so they're going to get Booker back. They're probably going to finish as like the 4 or 5 seed. And who knows, maybe even better yet, because there's a lot of ball.
The Pelicans they're finally experiencing what it's like without Zion and Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
Ingram just came back, though.
Ingram's back now?
Ingram just came back. Yeah, okay. I think he played his first game last night, yeah.
Maybe let's set the table here for the Pels.
Because Ingram's the best player on that team. In my opinion. Ingram and
all right.
Very crucial.
So kind of just ease them back in with his minutes. I'm sure that's going to ramp up pretty quickly here. But, 24 points in his first game back. No problem with that. Let's actually click into that game and look at the lineup construction.
I want John to answer me saying that Ingram was the best player on that team.
I mean, I think it's Zion, but it's a 1A, 1B situation right now. And honestly, to be fair to McCollum, especially
CJ McCollum,
those two have all been out, or those two have both been out, and they're still winning games. And McCollum has been playing fantastic. So you could even argue it's a 1A, 1B, 1C situation.
Absolutely, this team is set up when they're healthy.
Yeah, they're very balanced.
They just need to be healthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as fantasy goes right now, I mean, of course, McCollum, Valanciunas, Ingram, these guys are must-own players. What's Larry Nance doing up here?
Nance Bass.
He's
a solid fantasy player.
Yeah, the last few games looks like he's been stepping into a more prominent role. Maybe someone to keep an eye on. Trey Murphy, another player that probably needs to be rostered while injury. Oh, look at the minutes! Holy crap!
That's because Dyson Daniels is out.
Yeah,
Kyle.
Yeah, this is this is one of those situations where the minutes are fantastic. The points are a little bit less to be desired, but I do like the player. Yeah, let's just take a look here. I thought this guy was trending in the right direction. Then he gets hurt against Denver here. That's just unfortunate, the timing of it. But anyways, Najee Marshall playing well. What's going on? Jackson Hayes isn't getting
he hasn't been the same since he got tased.
Yeah. Most people aren't, but to be fair. But anyways, like he hasn't taken a step forward, and especially with all the injuries they've had, he hasn't really carved out a role for himself.
I think Nance is
taking that.
Yeah. They gave him ample chances, I feel like, but Hayes has just not been able to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Nance is a pro. I loved Nance.
Nance is the ideal.
He's a pro player.
Yeah,
but it looks like.
What's the word on Zion, Hev?
I think it's starting to get closer, but probably post All-Star break.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think he's on track for it, but
do you see this team making a move? Go grab a Gary Harris.
The Pelicans, you mean?
You're right. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like with some of these younger random guys that I didn't really know existed last year, like Trey Murphy and Marshall and
Herb Jones,
Dyson. Like those are all guys who play that wing, kind of 2-3, which Gary plays. Like, now is Gary an upgrade on those guys? Certainly, but But do you need is Gary Harris help you a lot because you have a couple of guys who just kind of came out of nowhere who are useful?
Do you want to make the playoffs this year as the Pelicans GM, my ex-boy from the
Cavs, what's your win now move? Like, where do you improve this team? Because you have good players at every position on this team.
I think they already made their win.
I think you just wait for Zion.
Wait for Zion to come back. Like Devontae Graham has been a huge disappointment.
Yeah, he's just got lost. But I mean, when you insert Zion back into this lineup, that's going to push maybe either Trey Murphy or I think they're going to leave Herbert Jones in the lineup, but that'll push maybe Murphy out.
Yes.
And that's your shooter off the bench. You still have Nance as a big man off the bench. You have backup point guards there. So like they're already 3 or 4 guys. I don't know what a Gary Harris would do for this team.
Probably not much.
I mean, at that point, you're basically saying, can you package Devontae Graham and Jose Alvarado for like if you want to upgrade your backup point guard or something? I don't know.
I don't even know if you can move Devontae Graham. I think he's going to be an add-on. I do see this team making a trade.
But yeah, I mean,
maybe a true backup center to Valanciunas.
Move Hernan Gomez and pair him with somebody and see what you can do.
Yeah, pair him with Graham
but
go get Mo Bamba. Let's put
let's trade your players and see what you get.
It's going to be Ingram. Ingram's got the next 2 weeks through the All-Star break to get his legs underneath him. Zion's going to return. This team should settle in just fine. But like they're on that slippery slope right here. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games. Just a game ahead of the play-in tournament right now. So
yeah, I mean, look at 4 through 10.
Yeah, they need to get on it. Because go back. I mean, at that point,
Dame's coming. Dame's trying to get in.
They're on. They gotta get on the horse here because it's.
Do we need to talk about the Trailblazers quick? I mean, they got some guys. Is that too much to ask?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting. The 3 seed in the West and the 11 seed in the West are not separate. They're pretty damn close to each other. That's
the West.
I haven't noticed that before. That's
27 wins versus 23 wins. It's a difference of 4.5 games.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle for
We can
the.
talk about the Trailblazers next week. You want to? You
Just
good?
a little teaser, John. You got any one-liners for us on the Trailblazers?
Dame with his Dame is tied for third all time with his fourth ever 60-point or 60+ point game, not fantasy but actual just straight up points. He did that just yesterday, and I think the only people above him are Kobe and Wilt. Kobe did it 6 times. Wilt did it 32. Dame, James Harden, and I think 2 other guys have done it 4 times. So pretty interesting stat across the board. Lillard is like you said, they're making a little bit of a hey, Lillard's like, this is kind of our chance to make the playoffs. I want to make a push. I gotta absolutely take over because that's the way we're going to do it, and he's doing it because it's always Dame. Whenever it's Dame time, Dame shows up. So he's a tour de force right now and playing like an elite NBA player, an elite fantasy asset. If you have him on your team right now, you're certainly incredibly happy.
Is there any way they can be buyers at the trade deadline, or are they strapped?
I don't see it.
To me,
unless you're completely blowing it up.
Well,
John said, they moved McCollum last year.
Yeah.
That was a step into that direction, and they didn't do anything to improve this roster this year. So I don't know. They're in like that weird purgatory, but yeah, Dame is basically playing like LeBron is playing for the Lakers. It's like, I'm one of the best basketball players in the league, and I'm just going to do it. They made the move for Jeremiah Grant. I thought that might have been better for them, but
they got no bench.
They just don't. Yeah, they don't have bench. They don't have scoring outside of Dame. I mean,
Simons,
imagine if this team has CJ McCollum.
Yeah, I'm cool with Simons every now and then, but Nurkic has been in and out. Eubanks is a decent backup guy, but they don't have any.
They paid Peyton. I mean, but
Eric
Peyton
Bledsoe's
was a guy because he played for the Warriors. I mean,
Bledsoe hasn't played a single game. They have an okay big three, but the depth is just like the cupboard is so bare. You think, like you mentioned, they traded away McCollum. Like, what the hell did they get for him? Like, what did they add to this roster when they lost McCollum? I'm sure they got a pick or something.
What did they get?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's not a notable. I don't know. So they've kind of went 1 foot in the tanking, 1 foot in competing because you have Dame Lillard, who's amazing, and
this was a 7-team or 7-player trade.
Yeah, they got Nance.
Portland received Josh Hart, Tomas Satoransky, Alexander Walker, Didi Louzada, and 2 first-round pick. What happened with that first-round pick?
It was protected, so it became a fucking second-round pick. Sorry for my swearing.
No, you're great.
Wow. So they got no firsts?
Yeah, no, it was protected, so it eventually became a second.
So they got the best 2 players in this deal.
Yeah.
We like Nance. Hart's fine. He's fine.
And Alexander Walker and Satoransky aren't on the roster this year.
Right. Like,
I mean, Sato is old, but Alexander Walker was supposed to, I mean, theoretically was a piece in that trade.
He was an up-and-coming.
And he's not even on the team anymore. So,
Utah.
He's not playing because
what a weird trade for Portland. I mean, McCollum's not young, but he fits Dame's timeline really well. I just don't understand why
since
Portland
2013. They've reached the playoffs every time with McCollum. Like, what was your end goal here? Unless you traded Dame.
Yeah, I'm not sure
they need to trade Dame. That's the only.
And neither side wants to do that.
No, nobody wants to. I mean, Dame wants.
So they're definitely in a little bit of purgatory because Dame is too good to keep you. You're not going to ever be at the bottom if Dame is healthy and playing because Dame is just too damn good.
Yeah, they're always going to be hovering around that 500. It's a LeBron effect. He has too much heart for them to be shit. So we'll tune in next week to see how we decide to fix the Blazers. We'll blow it up or something. I'm not sure. We'll talk more in depth about the Blazers. I mean, at this point, this is what we've been back in the show. I think this is our 4th week. So we've been covering as many teams as possible. I'm not sure which teams are left. We'll try and figure it out. But I don't any final thoughts there for you, Drake, before we get out of here and look forward to next week?
No, I think next week's theme should be blowing teams up. making other teams better, and
finding a home for Bamba.
Yeah, finding a home for Bamba and slapping some. We might introduce a little DraftKings or something.
Yes, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, maybe a little trade deadline primer and a little DFS.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun the next few weeks because we're at the trade deadline, and we all know what the NBA trade deadline does.
And then, even like the trade deadline like energizes us for it. Essentially, just I love how the NBA has the All-Star break. It's so different from the NFL because they do their Pro Bowl disaster at the end of the year. Where like the All-Star game, it's like setting the table for the playoff run for fantasy. And it's just kind of like an intro to like, okay, this is it. This is the time where this is where your fantasy team is going to put up or shut up, right? So we're just now entering the prime of the fantasy basketball season. It's a lot of fun, and I don't know. Maybe next week. I don't know what times work for you guys. We'll look at the schedule Tuesday or Thursday, and if we can maybe start the show 20 minutes before lock, we can just talk as many DraftKings theories as we can. Maybe we whip out some kind of crazy $2, $4 lineup or something. We will get into it. But John, any final thoughts from you?
No, I think I'm just so glad we talked about Şengün. He's fun. So go watch the Rockets play one game before the All-Star break. That's your homework, everybody.
Well, I'm sure Drake's headed to watch the Sengun tonight. Unless you catch that, do you watch that on a replay or something? Or
oh no, I'll go watch it. I gotta put it on the iPad though, and don't get TV privileges.
We'll take your notes on Sengun. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thanks for hanging out with us, John and Drake. We will see you guys. We'll see everyone next week. Thanks for your time. Peace.